Everyone, and welcome to Spiritual Awakening Talk and Stories, a podcast built on love. The mission of this podcast is to make everyone aware that we are spiritual beings living this earthly life. And somewhere along the way, we forget that we are spiritual beings and we're not taught that we are. And that we have many other senses, our clairs, that are right within us all the time. And another mission of this podcast is to make people aware and to make parents aware too, that you can teach your children how special they are. So with that being said, my special guest today is Celina, and she is a trauma release practitioner and a spiritual counselor. And she will be sharing her process of how she became those things, because you just don't wake up one day and decide you want to help people. This is a soul mission. So without any further ado, I would like to welcome my guest, Celina.
Hello, Melissa.
Welcome. Thank you so much for joining me today. I am so honored and blessed to have you. And I know that everybody watching will learn from your spiritual awakening story. So if you would like, why don't you start us at the beginning in early childhood, and some things that you may have noticed about you that you may have felt different than other people, like you experience things differently.
Yeah, absolutely. Where can I start? Well, I experienced myself comparing with my environment that I was highly sensitive from the beginning. I have always been an empath as well, and I was able to feel other people's emotions, but I wasn't aware of that.
Right.
Yeah, I wasn't
There was
aware.
no terminology for it. You knew you had it, but you couldn't identify what it was, right?
Yeah, and you think it's only you. You think it's mine, you know. So it wasn't easy. It wasn't always easy. I was always very drawn to animals. I love animals from my early childhood. I grew up with animals, with with dogs, and yeah, I also experienced some psychic abilities as well, which I wasn't aware at that age what that was, because it was natural. And yeah.
Did you find yourself having conversations telepathically with your animals just in a natural way?
I think so, yes. So what I can remember, absolutely, yeah.
Yeah, because that's kind of my story in a way, like yours, and it was this empathic, and it's like I always knew that they understood me. Did you feel the same way?
Yeah, 100%. And
Yeah.
I had to save any kind of animal or insect, even like the little bugs when they were about to die. So I did everything. I did CPR on little lizards or whatever when they were about to die. So I love them. And
That's amazing. When you said that, I got this vision of a green heart, a healer's heart, and that is you. So, all right. So you experienced, you knew you were an empath. You're picking up people's emotions, feelings as a child. And so now, bring us into early adult life. Did things start to open up for you at a certain age?
Not really, because I have shut down everything also due to my childhood trauma. Okay. So there were good times and there were not so good times. What I have experienced. And I was running around a long time with a complex PTSD, like post-traumatic stress disorder, if some people don't know the term.
Yeah.
So that's when you numb yourself and you shut down almost everything. And I was, the thing was, I get really overwhelmed very quickly. And I was like a sponge. I soak up almost everything. And I didn't know how to have the boundaries or where the boundaries are. And it was a long journey until I realized what was going on. And this was So many years in my early adulthood that were really difficult.
Yeah.
I dealt with psychic things as well, in the positive side and a little bit negative side, but I ignored it. I kind of denied it.
So what stands out to you? What was one thing that you had to deal with, but then you pushed it aside so people can identify with that?
Pushed aside. I kind of pushed aside that I was able to see things. I was able to feel things. I always have been highly intuitive as well.
Yeah.
I had visions of things that happen or incidents that might happen. I always knew or felt when people weren't that honest, or it was also like I could see through people.
Yeah.
But I had a huge issue with trusting myself.
Yeah.
And this was due to my childhood trauma as well. So I needed to learn to trust my intuition. And as long as you don't trust yourself and your intuition due to trauma, you cannot handle it. So I ignored it and I numbed myself. Yeah.
Yeah, and as a clairvoyant myself, and I think you had mentioned earlier before we came on about you had some very vivid dreams, because I experienced that too, and that was traumatic. So how did you deal with that aspect of being psychic and clairvoyant? Like when you wake up after a traumatic dream. So real. Yeah.
Oh yeah, it was. I always, in my past, I dealt with not very nice dreams as well, like nightmares. And later on, it turned out that it wasn't only a dream. So I had my answers, and I had kind of revelations where what the meaning is of the dreams and so on. I don't want to go into too deep into it because it's not so nice, but. Yeah, how did I deal with it? It was exhausting for me. I didn't know what to do, and I have consulted some spiritual people as well, like shamanics. There was a shamanic person, because I didn't know what to do at that time. I didn't know what those dreams were, what the meaning was.
Yeah.
And I was kind of desperate because I didn't know what it was. Always a repeating dream, or the content was a repeating theme in the dreams, and I didn't know what that was. I thought maybe it's related to my childhood trauma or whatever, and my soul tries to tell me something, but I didn't know what to do with it because it was out of a normal normal context.
Right.
And I even didn't know who can I talk with.
Right.
And so I consulted several people through the years in order to help me or to get some answers. And so that was a path where with baby steps, were towards opening the door to spirituality as well, because my doors were shut, everything. I closed everything. And I didn't trust it. So yeah, if this is an answer.
Yeah, that happens. So when you sought out the practitioner or the shaman, you probably had more clairvoyant things happen to you, more psychic things happen, and then you're probably beginning to realize there's a lot more to this, and a lot more to me as a human being, right? That I'm going to explore.
Absolutely. It was a long journey, I have to say. It was a really long journey, because when you also have to go to a regular work, earn your money, and do the regular day-to-day life things, you don't have the time always to dive so deep into the other stuff. And there was also a lot of trauma, which I had to deal with later then. And so you try to balance yourself and manage everything, and I wasn't able to open the door fully because I wasn't sure what will hit me then. What is, like, is it Pandora's box or what is it? Will it overwhelm me? I was overwhelmed already. So so that was very slow, one step after another. So I think our soul is guiding us step by step towards where we are meant to be.
Yes.
Yes.
It's divine timing. Like, you cannot rush it at all.
No.
want to fast track their spiritual awakening, and
Yeah.
there's no way you can do that. In fact, it will cause you more trauma than you had before if you try to rush it, you know? So it does unfold that way. So
absolutely. Yeah.
so you got a little bit of guidance, you're starting to figure it out. So then bring us to where, you know, it really opened up for you, because most people can identify where that is in their life and what was going on.
So yeah, the point was when I really opened up to spirituality, where I thought, okay, this is the time. I cannot ignore it anymore. I have to face it somehow. I've always felt that there is more to life. There is way more than we can see, and which weird things that we are told or what we have learned in school and all that. I have always felt that, but yeah, and the point was then 2015.
Okay.
And I had a very, let's say, I'm not sure how to say, it was an encounter with someone and who deeply triggered a lot of things in my life. Things that were suppressed.
Yeah.
And that was the time where I was forced to look very deep. And I was, how do you say in English, crack open, or like I was open like a nut.
Yeah.
I couldn't resist it anymore. And that was the time when that was, I would say, initiation for the spiritual awakening. And when I look back, I can see that I had breadcrumbs all over my whole life, from maybe my soul, my spiritual, or the spiritual world. From my guides that were leading me towards this and this, and then this had to happen and this had to happen in order to, you know, open the door. And
I love that.
It was quite intense.
That's awesome. I've even said that too, like little breadcrumbs along the trail, you know, all the signs, synchronicities, the people. It's crazy. Yeah, absolutely.
Yes.
So you get to that point and you're having your spiritual awakening and you're not fighting it anymore. You know that you can turn it off. Like, you have to develop this, you have to heal. So where did that lead you after you had that complete opening up?
Yeah, I had some spiritual experience all of my life, but I didn't put it in the spiritual box. You know, it was like, okay, it is the way it is. So, but then I realized, okay, this is more, and it led me to, you know, I healed myself even before my awakening. There were some issues I healed by so-called coincidence. And when I look back, I see now, well, this was not a coincidence. That was, And
I think you were proactive, right? Like, you did things by your diet, and you did healthy lifestyle things to help you to feel better, right?
Well, at that time, I hadn't had any healthy lifestyle. I was before I quit smoking 2013. I was a heavy smoker. And I had to deal some years. I had to deal with skin issues, and I healed myself, but without a proper diet. I did it. I can maybe tell you later.
Tell us. People want to know how you.
Want to know?
Yeah.
That was, for me, was really a revelation, or how do you say, a kind of epiphany.
Yes.
And I had neurodermitis. Is this the English term, or like eczema?
I've heard that before. Yeah, I'm not sure what it is, so you'll have to tell me.
Yeah, I had it. It's a kind of very heavy eczema, or very acute eczema on your skin, with inflammation.
Okay.
And I had it since I was born, I think. I had it in my early childhood, and I recovered from it when I did martial arts when I was 16. So I fully recovered from the skin eczema when I was 16 and did martial arts. And then it came back later due to stressful events in my life. It was triggered again, and I had a horrible skin pain and eczema, and nothing helped. And then after nothing has helped, no doctor could help me. They, you know what the doctors say, you have to put some chemical stuff on your skin, like cortisone cream or whatever. And I knew this is not the resolution or this will not resolve the root cause of the problem.
Right.
So I threw away every other opinion, and I said, okay, I will do it by myself. There must be a way. And at that time, I still was a heavy smoker, so I didn't quit smoking at that time. So I was guided to talk to my skin. I was intuitively guided. So I sat in bed and I connected with my heart, but it was without the knowledge of any kind of spirituality. It was before my spiritual awakening. And then I thought I would talk to my skin because there's a reason why my body is showing this to me. And I closed my eyes and I went deep into myself and I asked my body and my skin, what is the reason? Why do I have the skin issue? It's horrible. I cannot, it's painful. And I immediately received answers from my soul, my body. And the answer was that I had to learn how to set healthy boundaries. And I have to leave the relationship I was in that was toxic as well. And I had to make some changes in my life in order to get back to health. And what I felt was deeply gratitude. I felt so much gratitude because I realized, well, there's always a reason our body is talking to us through health conditions as well. And that was the first time I had zero resistance to my skin issue. So I acknowledged it and I accepted it, and I thanked my body and my soul for giving me this message. And I said, I made a choice and a decision. And I said, I'll take control back in my life right now. And then I just visualized like I'm healed. And I didn't put any focus on my skin issue anymore. So I had no resistance, but I didn't give any attention to the worst scenario. So within a few weeks, I was completely healed.
Wow.
And I was like, oh my God, there is more to it. So I felt that it has to be authentic when the love within us, when we love what is unwanted, and we feel gratitude when we understand the message it has for us, and there is the possibility for healing. This is the point where we can turn the energy around and we can change the vibration that caused the issue in the first place. And this is just one example in my life, and I had a few of them, and it was amazing. And then I realized I know what is meant when everyone says love heals everything. It's divine, it's the connection to God and to source, and you let it run through you and you're fully present with it unconditionally, have no resistance to what is unwanted. And then with gratitude, and then you can lift it up and you can put the healing energy into it, and you change the information in the cellular structure, if it makes sense.
Yes, it does. So that is so beautiful. It's so amazing, because what you did at the moment is you decided to love yourself, even your condition, and love heals everything. I know it sounds, maybe hippie or, kind of delusional, but really and truly, we do have to love ourselves unconditionally, despite what traumas, despite any physical ailments that we have. Every day we are loving ourselves, because if we don't, we can't really ever love anybody else way, a full spectrum way. And that's just beautiful. And what I believe heals is you have to believe that you can heal and that you have the power to heal. You have the power to heal us.
Yes.
And oh my gosh, it's amazing the healing that happens when you just get mindset. So go ahead. I want to hear more of after you miraculously had this healing. So then what do? You're on fire, right? Like you're having ideas.
No, right? At that time I hadn't any idea. I just went on with my regular life. This was before my awakening has started. So I think my soul, it took me a lot of things to push me into the real awakening. So no, I didn't do anything. I was just amazed. I thought, wow, that was amazing, you know. And then I
Share your story with your friends and family and tell them what you did?
no, I didn't.
No?
No, if I told my friends, I told a few friends.
Yeah.
So, but and I said you have to do this. So I told them, but I wasn't about to do any kind of healing work with others because I was very how do you say humble, very humble, because I had a lot of respect doing those things, and I thought myself, well, I'm not a healer. I didn't consider myself a healer because I thought you have to have some really good education and you have to go study things in order to say you're a healer. So I don't put hands on anyone else or any other person because I thought this is not enough. But later on, I experienced many more things and I felt, okay, actually, it's not necessary to have this education. You can do any education. Everything is beneficial. I have had some education as well later, but at least it's the love. We have to find a way to accept things. Yeah. And
So yeah.
yeah. Sorry.
No, you're fine. That was so beautiful about like that's what it is. And really, we are all born to heal. We are born to heal each other. And your story just proves that we have that ability inside of us, even if we haven't been taught we have it, even if we are totally unaware, we do have that. And I always think about the life of Jesus, you know, and how he went and what did he do? He believed he could heal. He was a master of his feelings, of his emotions, of his connection with the divine, right? And so he even said, I will do no greater things than you. So we are ordained to be healers, you know?
Absolutely.
Yeah. I just have to say that when you said that, I'm like, oh, this is awesome because people think it has to be complicated or you have like a stack of books this high and you have to have read them all to heal something. No, it's the intention of your heart and it's your love. And and then if you're working on somebody else, it's their acceptance of that love and also loving themselves, right? Yeah,
absolutely. And also, if I may add that, I think the key is it's because it's difficult because we're very often we're not trained or not taught how to be in our hearts again. We're so distracted, we're so programmed, we're so indoctrinated, we're so traumatized. And when you're traumatized and you deal with trauma stress, you cannot be in your heart because being in the heart means to surrender, to deeply have an experience of surrender. You have to surrender to yourself, to everything, even the things that doesn't feel good. And only when we learn how to deeply surrender and have no resistance to the things that don't feel good, then we're able to open up our heart because there's no need to fear again, if it makes sense this way. This is how I experienced it later on when I have, when I was about to deal with my trauma stuff, with my emotions as well. And that was then the time where when everything popped up and makes sense, because then I fully understood how it goes or how it has to be or how we can do it. And it's deep. It's the heart. It's an open heart and a pure intention. And this is the doorway to divine connection, in my perception or from my experience. How I perceived it. And this is the thing we have to, or we can, this is the way to it. And it's difficult when we are in a very stressful environment and we're stressed and distracted and have no kind of awareness, and we're kind of we're running a program, then we're not in our hearts.
Right. We are actually taught to be everywhere else but in our heart and in our own intuition and our own, being. So it is so difficult, and people are. I really feel like that's why people do suffer so much, is because the disconnect with self first, but then there's such a disconnect with people around other, around you or around people, because we're taught that we have to do things a certain way and there's no other way, and that's so wrong. You know, there are so many pathways to healing. It's just what feels good within your spirit, you know, your heart and mind, and that's those first steps. I think the acceptance, just like you surrendered.
It's the acceptance. Then when we accept, we have no resistance to things. And when we have no existence, we can include what we have separated or what is separated. We allow it to include it, and then we can embrace it. And for me, healing is integration. Healing, as I experience it, means integration. And it's not like getting rid of something. It's not getting rid of something. It's like inclusion and integration. And it will be or it will happen by itself. It's nothing you can push. We just have to offer this open heart. I mean, I know it's not easy. I have experienced all the sides of it, when it's easy and when it's not easy. But this is, for me, the key to access it. And then we have accessed, I think, the divine heaven. You know, this is because we're in the field or connected to source. We're always connected, but this is how we access this power. And then we have such a high vibration, and this high vibration gives the information to change the frequency of the illness or the ailment or the trauma that can be released and resolved.
Right.
This is from my perspective.
I agree. I mean, and to be, I feel, this is my perception, and I look forward to what you have to say about it. But in my opinion, the best healers, because I'm like you, I have a healer's heart. I do a lot of healing. And it's work, no matter what area you work in with your psychic and your intuitive abilities, you are inevitably healing somebody when you spend that time with them. So I feel that the trauma makes you so much more attuned and so much more adept at actually healing people, because you know what it feels like to suffer. And really, you know, when we have ailments, when we have health things, when we have emotional things, it is suffering. And so the spiritual part is what needs to be reintegrated into our healthcare systems, because that's been run over by a bus and left for dead, you know, years ago.
Absolutely.
The way so, you know, to get really, you know, truthful about it. So okay, so you've experienced your healing. So now, where do you go from there? What's your next step?
Yeah, my next step then was my spiritual awakening, to say so, at 2015. And I had some books that helped me as well, because I wrote those books, and I thought, oh my God, it's like my soul is speaking now to me. It's like, I've always felt that. I agree. This is true. I was like, wow, yes. And the door was opening like this for me.
Yeah.
And then I had to deal with a lot of, that was the time where I really had to deal with my trauma.
Mm-hmm.
So where I had to face it. I tried everything in the past decades, but nothing has helped.
Mm-hmm.
And then I found out how to deal with the trauma, and then I did it by myself.
Mm-hmm.
I did everything by myself and went into very deep meditation every day. And I knew how to do it. And it's like when you have to feel your negative, painful emotions. And I had to reconnect to my emotions again, because this is what happens when you're traumatized or when you have experienced very painful events. We suppress everything because we had no resources how to deal with those emotions. So they're still stuck in the emotional body, you know, in the aura, in our energy body. We have an emotional body or pain body, and this is the area or the layer where those suppressed emotions are stored. Mm-hmm. And this is where the triggers are activated. You know, you experience something again, and then you get reactivated.
Yeah.
And then you have a flashback, and you feel all those emotions, and you don't, it's like a tsunami hitting you,
Right.
and you have to deal with it again and again, and then we suppress it again. And that's the point where I knew, okay, I know how to do it now. And then I was sitting with my emotions
Yeah.
for years, for months, weeks, months, and years. And that was the beginning where I experienced so much healing. It was, and like spiritual things. I had wonderful experiences with a spirit and with myself, with an open heart. I received messages, what to do, how to heal, and what to do next. And then I started inner child work, and I have progressed in the work, what I did with myself at that time. And it was amazing. And that led me then later, when friends told me, because I said, okay, I know how to do the energy healing, because it's nothing different. We're not separated. When I can do it with myself, as I healed my skin issue and other issues, and the trauma healing is the same. You have to just face those painful emotions. You have to feel them in the body. And you always when you allow it in, and you let it be there, and you observe it. This is what is hidden in the shadow, our aspects, our inner child that are still in pain. And now to become aware of it, and you look at it with the light, we're shining the light of our consciousness and the love we have to this, what is or what was unseen, and what was hidden in the shadows or in the unconscious area. And this is the way how we can resolve it. And it's always the same. It's like embrace what is painful, or find a way. It's nothing you can force, and if it's not possible, then it's okay. But I can tell so much about it, but it will extend the time.
No. Share. So I know that you've studied, and that when did this become okay? So you've processed all this, and you heal. So when did you decide, or when did you get the prompting from your guides that you were to take your pain, your trauma, and you were using this because you released it, you were healed? And so when do you decide, oh my gosh, like there's a whole world of people out there that could benefit from this?
After I was quite good, and I was like, wow, I was so deep into it. And then I tried to help friends as well. So I offered some, and asked them, you want me to guide you through the processes I did with myself? And I help you doing the same that I did with myself, like facing and confronting yourself, or encounter your inner child, or like fragmented aspects of yourself, which are still traumatized aspects, and then get to know them and understand them and embrace them and invite them in back, and they will then integrate. It's like soul integration, like the shamans do. I think they do kind of the same, calling back your soul part.
They do soul retrievals, absolutely.
Absolutely.
Heal it and reintegrate it back in.
And they asked me to do that, and I was always like very careful, because I was afraid to harm anyone, or to push anyone, or trigger anyone too much, and get out of control. So I was very humble. Is humble the right term?
Yeah.
And I did some healings then with friends, and many friends said, Julia, you have to do something with it. Really, you have to go out, do something. And I was like, not yet. I'm not ready. I'm not ready yet. It's not enough. I'm not ready.
You know what I love about your story, because everybody is always seeking an outer spiritual teacher to learn things, but I can relate to your story, because one of the first healings I did, I was just following my guidance, and ended up, having a spontaneous, miraculous healing for a friend. And it was so, we were like, she believed and I believed, so it was like 50-50. We made the 100%, and she was healed. And for like a month, her every day, are you still feeling okay? So it's going to happen. You believe, but you're still like, wow, that really happened.
Do you want to say how do you do it, or do you want to talk about it, or say something?
Yeah, you can share. Like, I was saying, like, we're taught, it comes naturally if you are in connection with your divine guidance with source, with creator, God, whatever word resonates, when you are in direct communion, in connection with that, you are never alone. That's the thing. You know, you said I was alone, and I'm like, no, I know you know that you aren't alone, you know, because we are trained to believe we are alone here all the time, and we're not, because we have that essence within us that wants us to learn and to grow and to heal and then to teach in our capacity. But we're all going to learn things differently because none of us are exactly the same.
Absolutely. I 100% agree. It's always an individual way of healing. It's an individual path. Everyone needs something specific, maybe, and it's not one for all. One doesn't fit all.
No, not at all. So I relate to your story, though. I know, probably like you've taken countless hours of classes and training, and you continue to train and take classes as I do. I never stop. So it's like once you get on the spiritual journey and you know this, where you never want to stop opening up and learning.
Yeah, absolutely. It's for me, it's the same. I mean, I had some breaks. I also followed like spiritual teachers, and I love to listen to their way of see things or their teachings, and I always followed at least my own intuitive way of things. But it's also expansion, you know, to have another to see and learn from another perspective. And at least you can come back to yourself and do your own thing. And
I love that. I love that. That is the best thing ever, because so many times in spiritual areas of life and people wanting to do this kind of work, they get so competitive. But that's not what it is, because we all learn, and then we take what we learn and we develop our own modalities, if you will, right?
Absolutely. And I think this is so needed. It's needed, and not a copy of things, you know. We cannot be a copy. It's cheap. It's cheap. It's not the full power. It's our individual selves, you know, our own experiences, and when we have expanded our perception and we have included some other teachings maybe, and consider them, you know, and do something with it, and cook another soup.
Yes.
The own soup.
Yes, I love that. I absolutely love it. And you know, I'm sure you could probably relate to this. Like sometimes in sessions, they're totally guided. You know, I don't even know. We do some things, and after I'm done and my client leaves, I'm like, I can't believe how amazing that was. And man, I feel good now too, you know? So as a healer, we actually get healed up while we heal other people.
Absolutely. I 100% relate to what you say. I always felt like so high. It was, I mean, even if it is sometimes also exhausting, or it takes energy as well, but it gives a lot. It's like, wow, it's bombastic. It's amazing. It's like you pluck me into any, how do you say that? You pluck me into the...
Or a plug, a socket.
That socket.
It's just amazing. And sometimes the way people find you when you're a healer, it amazes me too. There's just so many little synchronicities in so many ways. But so go ahead.
No, nothing.
Yeah, so process. So you took. I never asked you, but I know that you have like studied and taken a lot of classes, because one of the ways that we met was through classes. And so it's just it just never ends. But you're right, it is like your own modality. Like I don't do anything like anybody else did, though I've learned from a lot of different people.
I think it's necessary. I mean, I haven't studied psychology. I'm not an educated therapist or medical therapist or any kind of that.
Because they have their place in ours, you know, so that's a beautiful thing. It's almost a blessing that you didn't, because then you're not into that programming of that, you know, training. box at the parameters, which
That's
is good, but it's not good when you're free flowing with spirit, right?
yeah, yeah, absolutely. Considered it in the past to study this, and I started, but then I quit. And it didn't feel, I didn't resonate doing it that way. So
Yeah.
I had to find my own way.
Yeah.
And I think I could have been distracted, or when I start, as you said, it could have, or could distracted me too much.
Yeah.
And I had some education as well. I did some other trainings,
Yeah.
but at least, and learned some other different techniques or healing techniques. I learned that. But after all, I'm very grateful to have made this experience.
Yeah.
But I felt deeply within, you have to do your own intuitive way of healing. And I took what was really good. I learned a lot, but at least I'm not the type of using a specific technique,
Yeah.
because then I'm too much in my head, and I get the answers when I'm into it. I do receive what is necessary to do right now in this
Yes.
situation.
Well, that's the difference between book learning and spiritual learning, because it is mystical. There's a lot to it that we're just I want to say obedient to our guidance, and we trust it, and that's what makes it different. And it's really, I think it's a beautiful way to connect with people.
Yeah. Absolutely. And I heard it a few years ago, that the energy, the time is changing on our planet, and the quality of everything is changing. That is it's important that we use our individual skills. We have to learn our own tools and skills. We can learn and have education. There is nothing wrong. I don't want to say that there is anything wrong with it.
Right.
But we have to find our own individual way of how to heal or do things for being a practitioner, because we have unique skills and energy, and then combine all this and make a wonderful thing out of it. And the world is full of a variety of people,
Right.
and so everyone can benefit of all those unique individuals with their unique skill sets and energy.
Yeah. All I can think of when you were saying that is, all I can hear is gifts of the spirit. So the healing gift is a gift of the spirit, and it doesn't mean that it's any more, less than, or greater than what anybody else embodies. It's just what it was, the calling that you felt from within, that I've felt from within, and other people get their calling in a different way, and that is what's so beautiful. And I believe that the future of humanity is everybody working together for the same cause, and that is the oneness, the connectedness, the understanding that we are not really separate. We have the illusion that we're separate from everybody else, but in reality, you and I know, because we feel energy, that we're not alone.
No, we're not. But we also experience our individuality. We experience the kind of separation, and that is okay as well, I think, because I am me and you are you. I mean, we have different lives and we experience things differently, and that is okay. We can connect everything. That it's not kind of a separation anymore. I can be me and you can be you, and we can be us, together, if it makes sense.
Yeah, it does. I feel like we are working together as a collective to elevate the consciousness of the planet and of humanity right now. And that's part of the reason why I do this podcast, because I want people to understand that they're not weird, they're strange if they experience things that they were taught weren't real, or it couldn't be, because it can be. And the things, even though you can't tangibly touch what we're talking about today, you can experience it on some level. Even if you never have in your whole entire life, you can meditate and all of a sudden open up spiritually. I mean, you never know what's going to happen in your life if you're opening yourself up to all of things, all of the beauty that you could embody. Right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Absolutely right.
Yeah.
There's nothing to add or to, yeah, 100% agree.
Yeah.
Wonderfully said.
Yeah. So now, and this isn't, from what I understand, correct me if I'm wrong, but you do have a full-time job other than being a spiritual practitioner, right?
Yeah, I'm working part-time as a flight attendant as well.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I also have a job in an office once a week. So I
Mhm.
have kind of a full-time job, a different job, but we have some time to do the spiritual work and stuff as well.
Yeah.
So
I
this is how I created it.
Yeah, I think that's awesome. And I'm just thinking of you as a flight attendant, like having an empath and somebody that feels energy is a perfect flight attendant, in my opinion, because sometimes flights get scary, some stuff happens up there. And to have somebody, you being on the plane, I see why Spirit put you in that kind of a profession, because you care so deeply about people.
Yeah, I do, yes. But in the past, I wasn't conscious about it, or, I was just the way I am and I ever was. And I think we can also be, or doing healing or good work with our energy. You can be a dentist or you can work in the supermarket.
Yeah.
And it's just your energy you give off. It's just when we have a benevolent heart and we are compassionate, and this is healing. So we all can be do so much to reach and every one of us.
Yeah.
And it's not needed that you have to be some. It's nothing about you're special or you're chosen, or it has nothing to do with this. It's just like being benevolent and compassionate and opening up and have good intentions, have very good intentions. And this changes everything.
Mm-hmm.
I think for me it is everything we need in order to build a wonderful society and a way of living with each other.
Yeah. Yeah. And what I heard when you were saying that is we're all being called to answer the call. So in other words, each and every one of us has done things to better ourselves in life, what we were taught. But there is callings. There are so many people being spiritually awakened right now, and they are feeling the call, but they might not know what it is. So I'm just going to put it out there in this point that if you feel a call, know that it is real, know that it is true, and you need to explore and experience those real things in your spirit. That's what I would like to say to people today. I think it's so important. So is there anything else that you would like to share? I know that you do have your private practice, and I do have your website streaming on the bottom of the podcast. I'm pretty sure I put it on there, as I recall. If I didn't, we will share it. Did I put that on there, Julia?
Pardon?
I did. I think I did put your
I
website.
Need my glasses. I'm not sure. I need my glasses, I think.
Oh, it's okay. Just say it. I wrote it down. Say what
it's juliacelina.com. It's just a dot and com. If
someone easy.
That's easy. It's my second name. Yeah. What else can I say? I mean, spiritual awakening, when this is the topic for today, it's not easy. That people don't expect themselves, if they feel in a very turbulent phase in their life, and that is normal. It's the awakening is not. It's very often it's not easy. It's a kind of very turbulent experience. It's an upside down, chaotic. It can be this way. So if people are going through this, and I know many people have gone through this, and me myself as well, it could be very chaotic. And don't think that there is something wrong with you, because everything is exactly the way it is meant to be, and you're fine, and it's normal. There's nothing wrong with you.
Exactly. Like if you have clairvoyant sight and you see, visions or you see things
Yeah.
that aren't in the ordinary spectrum of sight.
Yeah.
You're not crazy. We do have the
No.
ability to see into other
Yeah.
realms. And sometimes it's beautiful, and sometimes
Yeah.
it can scare people. So that's
Yeah.
not the reason, like, I've been called to do this podcast, because I want people to know that they don't have to be afraid. If they are
No.
experiencing something that scared them, reach out, reach out to someone that will
Yeah.
understand. They're,
And
like
yeah.
us and any other spiritual person that might be in your life, and share, because chances are people are holding back things that they have seen or experienced for fear of
Yeah.
somebody will think they've, the cheese off their cracker,
Yeah.
but no, that's not the case. So,
No.
yeah, yeah,
Yeah. I think that's important because I've been through it as well. I thought, my God, I think I'm crazy, or I'm going crazy. I'm insane. I cannot tell anyone. And then you meet the right people, and you read stories from other people, and they went through the same thing, and you said, "Oh my God, thank you. Thank you so much, because I know I'm not crazy. I'm not insane. I know something is going on, and this is called awakening or whatever, you know."
right.
But when you through it, you know what you have been through. You know exactly, it will be wonderful. It can be very
Yeah,
wonderful after that, when you have
yeah, yeah.
exit
I
this
feel
phase.
Yeah, I wanted to add too, when you were talking earlier about
Mhm.
how you kind of brought yourself out of your PTSD feelings and your anxiety or whatever else went on because of your childhood
Mhm.
trauma. Um, you really, um, you got to a place, like, you were really healing yourself so deeply. And some people never get to that point because they keep going and doing the same thing. Like, they'll go to a different doctor, get a different prescription, or, you know, go to the same avenues. And
Yeah.
there sometimes is a very spiritual aspect to the human suffering or the human experience, that
Yeah.
isn't addressed. So I just wanted to bring that up again.
Yeah.
And personally myself, I can
Yeah.
speak of this because I've known people that have taken many, many medications, but have taken themselves off
Yeah.
in the spiritual things. Now, I'm not saying do that, unless you work with your healthcare provider or
Yeah.
whatever. I'm not a doctor, but I'm just saying that there are other things that go on inside of a human being that are spiritual,
Yeah.
that modalities or Western healing don't address. So I
Yeah.
just throw that out there too for people that
Yeah.
struggle with things, deeply emotional things and unexplainable things,
Yeah.
Mhm.
Absolutely. I think it's wonderful that you have mentioned it, because that's many people, then they numb themselves with medication. And
Mhm.
I'm not a doctor. I don't say do it or don't do it. It's I cannot say anything regarding this. It's an individual decision, um, but it has to be considered that there are so more things, or many more things, that are going on. And
Yes.
as you said, and it's very important. And I think the main problem is that it is the issue that we're disconnected to our emotions, and we're not aware of it.
Yeah.
Because yeah, and it's the way we need some resources, and we need to learn how to deal with negative emotions, because this is what we don't want to feel. We don't want to feel that.
Mhm.
It's for us, it's like hell, and we push it away, and we numb ourselves, and we distract ourselves. I
Mhm.
did it as well. I even catch myself when I have a phase where I don't want to feel anything negative, where I'm not ready yet. I'm not ready, and I postpone it and procrastinate it. But then I know, okay, I have to face it right now. This is my lifetime. I cannot avoid it. I cannot bypass things, because it get really worse then.
Yeah.
It gets me in trouble when I don't face things. So I was forced to face things,
Yeah.
face my emotions, face myself. And I think what's also what I have experienced from myself and my path and journey, that we have to become aware what we really feel. And this is the starting point, that we take the time to really look inside, feel into ourselves. What is it that I really feel? And don't force yourself to feel a certain way. How do we? Very often, we are told how to think. We're told what to feel. We are taught how to look. You know, the whole environment, social media, everything, everyone tells us how we should be. And so we ignore and deny the way we are truly are.
Yes.
So we are so disconnected to what we truly feel. And when we are not aware, we have zero awareness of what we truly feel right now. If I don't feel good, or if I don't like anything, this is a message in our emotions. They tell us, they give us a message, a very important message about ourselves and about our needs.
Yeah.
And when we constantly ignore that, of course we're getting into trouble. We maybe get panic attacks or anything, because we're so separated from ourselves.
Yeah.
And this is, for me, I think, a very important topic where to start. Is no matter what is going on, even if you're in the worst scenario or in a deeply horrible, painful state emotionally, listen to how it feels, and it is valid. It's nothing that you're not wrong, you're not insane. Listen to how you feel, and let it be there, because there is a reason for it. And it is maybe because we have suppressed our painful emotions and experience for decades of years. So now is the time to accept and to allow it in, and be okay with not being okay at the moment, and not to function. And this is okay. And don't force yourself to any other emotion or how you think you should feel. I know I'm not, it's not okay to feel that way. I should feel different about this person, about this job, about this. No. How do you feel actually? How do you really feel about it? And then allow it to be that way, and then do something with it from the state you are right now. This is what I think prevents a lot of things, or maybe prevents kind of a crisis or a deeper crisis.
Absolutely. We just can't forget about how we feel at any given moment, and it's not a selfish thing to do, because fill your cup first, find what you need for you, and then take that out into the world, and the world will be a much happier place. So with that being said, I think we had a wonderful chat, and I really enjoyed your presence, Julia. And I could sit here all day, because your energy is just so calming. I'm like, oh, this is wonderful. So,
Too.
So thank you for being here. And
thank you, Melissa, for letting me being there, and spending time and have a talk.
Yeah, it was awesome. And I just want to thank everybody for watching, and see you again soon. Bye.
Bye-bye. Thank you.